Leading Hong Kong trainer John Moore, you've got a huge hand here on Sunday, John, for the International Day.
Yes, I have, and I'm very, very lucky. All the horses have come up to scratch there after their last work this morning. All the jockeys reported that the horses pulled up well, and they're going into their relative races with live chances.
Mighty High in the Vase, it's a race that's eluded the Hong Kong trainers for quite some time. How's he come back from his spring campaign in Melbourne?
Well, he came back and got back into the same box again and everything, and he's just thrived since coming back. His weight's back all on. His coat, he's a little bit hairy in the coat because he's come out of a pretty cooler sort of climate in Australia and come back into warmer climates here. But he's worked this morning. Jeff Lloyd was aboard him this morning, and he reported that he's back to what he was when he won the Group 1 Champions and Chater Cup. So from that point of view, you know, it's very hard to win the 2400 metre race here against the Europeans because, you know, they've got the quality, they've got the stamina and whatever, and you've got to remember that Mighty High did come out of pretty mediocre starting with a maiden and whatever, and I don't really think the stays here in Hong Kong are that great, let's say. So for him to come out and be a live chance of winning the Vase is still questionable because you've got Group 1 horses in there that have much better form than he'd ever have.
You've got admiration in the sprint. That's a race you won before. How's he progressing?
Okay, well, in my opinion, he just hasn't reached his full potential, but his run the other day to Little Bridge was full of praise. Darren said he was just lost when they sprinted. He just skipped away a Little Bridge over the last 200, and then he started to really hit his straps again, admiration. So Darren was of the opinion, which I'd agreed to get a set of blinkers on him. So we did a blinker test on Monday, and Jeff Lloyd had to ride him because Darren had a slight sciatic nerve problem that needed correcting with the chiropractor. But Jeff reported that he was much more focused, and we're hoping that with the application of the blinkers, that he will be able to sustain that that finishing burst over the last 400. That he won't lose sight of Little Bridge and give himself a live chance of winning. But he is my stable star in the making, and I would never leave him out of my bets.
Irian and Jacoby in the Cup. Irian's a proven performer here in Hong Kong. How are those two coming along?
Okay, I came back thinking that Snow Fairy was running in the 2400, and now she isn't. So I'm back in the 2000 trying to get away from her. Anyway, he's now peaking. He's had the 2 runs in. He was just beaten the other day only because he bottomed out in the last 20 or 30 metres. Darren reported this morning after a very searching gallop, which he was in need of, that he's going to go into the race 100% fit, and we all know that he's on his local. He has the local advantage in the sense that he's trained and stabled here, and for that reason you've got to give him a very, very good each way chance of winning the 2000.
A very strong hand in the mile for you. 3 runners destined for glory, Extension and Able One. Able One was unlucky last year, probably a bit of an injury. But how are those 3 travelling?
He did. He got cast prior to it and suffered a stress fracture, and that was the end of him. And then there was 2 other horses with the same. But this year he's come back. Okay, he's 9-year-old, but he hasn't got a lot of mileage on the clock because he's had 5 stress fractures over his lifetime so far. And for that reason. And his last run was only below average with respect to the formster's view of things, simply because it was a very muddling pace. It was probably a second run blues syndrome why he ran poorly, but he's going to go into this race, and if he's given a soft lead, you've always got to give him a chance of winning the race because he's going to run home in quick time. With respect to Extension, we all know Extension's been set for the race a long time out. At the back end of last season, we all know I was setting him to win the mile this year, and he's done everything right coming up to it. The last run, everybody knew he drew outside gate, slow run race. He had to go back to last. He closed off the fastest last quarter, and jockey got off and said this is the horse to beat in the mile. That was Jeff Lloyd, and of course Darren rode Able One, and that was at muddling speed in the second run. And the other horse, which is the dark horse that I do recommend that a lot of people don't forget, is Destined for Glory. He was a dark horse the other day. He just sat back midfield and he turned on an incredible turn of foot to overhaul Hong Kong's horse of the year, Ambitious Dragon, and he's going into this race just as fit as what he was the other day. So I would think that the punters looking for a bit of value should look towards Destined for Glory, because he is the dark horse and he can win the race.
What about the best from your runners for Sunday, John?
Well, I'd have to put Extension. He's got the form on the board. He won the Classic Mile. His last run was a beauty. So I think if you're going to look at the 6 or 7 runners, you'd have to put Extension the best.
Mr. Lucky, due for a change of luck.
I sure am, but couldn't be happier going into this race with 6 or 7 runners and all with chances. I'm a very lucky boy.